Hi, my name's Alec Fridas, and I'm really excited about today's topic. Today, we're going to talk about cloud native capabilities coming to the edge, things like Kubernetes. I'm really excited that I have Neil, the CEO from Portainer, with me today. Neil, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Alec. Yeah, it's awesome to be here on this session. So Portainer's whole goal in life is to make the adoption of containerization and the underlying technologies that surround that far easier. It's quite a operational burden to adopt this technology and requires some very specific skills. And those skills are at times hard to come by. And if you do get them, they're quite expensive. So our whole goal is to make this technology substantially easier to adopt and run. So Portainer removes a lot of the operational burden, the mental strain, and just makes the technology more broadly available.
Well, I love that. Kubernetes, easy to use. Put those two. I don't know if we're there yet, but definitely that's what our goal should be. One of the things we got to start with first off is, the edge. The edge has so many definitions. How do you guys think about the edge?
So I always like to clarify what people mean by the edge because there are so many conflicting definitions. We break the edge into three parts. So we have the telco edge, also known as the network edge, and this is some systems that run inside 5G controllers or things like that. We also have the device edge or far edge, which is basically systems that run inside a shop, inside a factory, inside a box on a street corner in a smart cities type project. And then we actually have IoT devices. So there are the three different layers, and each one of those has very different requirements and constraints and very different underlying hardware that enables them. So if you confuse the three of them, you'll normally get yourself in trouble.
And it's important, all three of those can get back to the cloud, of course, too. So when you guys operate in the cloud and in all of these levels of the edge, so that, moving workloads from the cloud to each layer of the edge is something you guys are capable to do.
Yeah, we've got customer examples where they're using Portainer to manage their centralized systems in the cloud. They have devices out in shop locations which is their aggregation layers, and so they're using Portainer to manage the software that's doing the aggregation, and they've got software running on actual smart sensors or smart devices, and they're using Portainer to manage the rollout of software onto those devices as well. So across all three, and it's really important to have a single tool for IT to use to make their lives easier to roll out across all those environments.
So the edge is becoming more and more important to IoT markets. I mean, we're seeing that the cost of cloud expenditures is going up. Monthly bills are getting heavier, and people have compute on-prem. So we're absolutely seeing the trend at Intel that individual companies want to use their current compute they have. An example is in a retail store, not all 25 lanes are open at all times. You could build those into a cluster and land a Kubernetes environment on top of that. And that would give you, your unused compute available to do other things in the store. Do you have some examples where Portainer's gone into a retail environment?
Yeah, well, one of the most common use cases we see is computer vision, where there are cameras monitoring things going on in the store. That's often used for things like the self-checkout point of sale, where they've got cameras helping detect when items are moved from a shopping cart and scanned and put into a basket. But there's also things around zero scanning exits. So as you're actually picking up items from a shelf and putting them into your basket, they're automatically being added to your total. So as you walk out of the store, you're automatically invoiced. That stuff is very real time. You can't be waiting half an hour for things to be processed. It has to be near instantaneously processed, and that's best done in shop or in location. There's so much data created. When you're talking about video streams, it's the volume of data skyrockets really quickly.
Yeah, so you have bandwidth limitations, you need real time, you have that unused compute that you can be used, all very valuable, return on investment or TCO things to consider, and why the edge is becoming more important for making sure we have those cloud native capabilities. Those cloud, let's talk a little bit about that, the cloud capabilities. I mean, people want to reuse the same tools. The developers don't want to develop differently for the cloud as they do for the edge. Can you give me a little bit about why cloud coming to the edge or cloud capabilities is so important?
I mean, things like Kubernetes, Docker and Kubernetes have really been quite a paradigm shift in regards to how you deploy and manage applications. Historically, you would install applications in a server, and then you'd have to triage and upgrade those applications on the actual device. Whereas this whole cloud native suite of tooling lets a developer code their application, write all the definitions for how their application should run, and then just push that to a repo. And then all of the remote devices are configured to simply poll the repo and look for updates and apply them automatically. So it's now substantially easier to manage hundreds of thousands of devices centrally without having to go in and upgrade and manage them. I mean, could you imagine having to upgrade 100,000 point of sale machines to new software? It would be a nightmare. So being able to have them in a centralized place, you make a change, you push a change, you wait 10 minutes, the devices are all now up to date. That's a far easier way of managing custom rolled applications at scale.
Yeah, and what's nice is this is an architecture that's portable. I mean, it works in retail, but it works just as well in industrial.
We're seeing far more people who are looking to do SCADA replacements. So they're taking old-fashioned SCADA type control systems and saying, well, we'd like to be able to get more useful information out of our SCADA systems. We want to be able to see real-time dashboards and be able to tweak the actual production line based on what we're seeing in real time. And so they're actually replacing proprietary now with open IIoT, and that, because that is then just an edge device with edge software, it needs to be managed as well. Now, there's a far higher level of security required for SCADA type replacements, but the same thing rings true. You have a factory floor running a whole bunch of factory components. You might have sensors that are looking at humidity or dust levels or all sorts of chemical compositions to make sure production lines never stop, to make sure that production lines are producing perfect quality of goods, that welds are perfect. There's all sorts of use cases for it. And we're definitely seeing a lot of interest from SCADA type replacements moving to industrial IoT.
Yeah. And it's like you said, same thing, computer vision, checking those welds. I mean, it's the same technology getting reused, rebundled. Yep. The use cases might be a little bit different, but the technology and the capability is the same. So let's bring us a little bit back to Intel and Portainer. We've been working together, trying to solve some of the challenges as going to the edge. And that's like managing the devices, our provisioning devices, our building up clusters. Those are the things that Intel and Portainer are working together on.
Yeah, I mean, Portainer, before the work with Intel, we were very, very good at helping you get your application out to the edge. Where we didn't help you was getting your edge devices up in the first place. So getting them running an operating system, running a container runtime, installing the Portainer agent, and adding them to the environment. So we did nothing there. Now we do. The second side was, well, so a device out there at the edge fails. Do you have to genuinely send someone on site? That could be a plane trip and a 6 hour drive away to get to a device. Historically, the answer was yes. Now we don't have to. Now we have the ability to 100% manage devices from zero touch device onboarding through software lifecycle provisioning and physical triaging should a device fail. That's now a complete end-to-end solution.
Yeah, it's super exciting what's possible today. One challenge that Neil and I want to put out to those of you out there watching, we're so confident about bringing containers to the edge and testing this out that we'd like to do a POC with somebody that's willing to talk about it. There is a catch. You have to be willing to talk about it. But Neil and I have said, we'll put in the resources and we'll come and we'll do a POC with anybody that's interested.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who has been thinking, how do I get more value out of my assets? And my assets could be simply intelligence about my store or intelligence about my production line. If anyone's interested, we're there to help you roll out that software in a POC or trial.
Absolutely. Neil, thanks for joining me today.